Class and hello, Mr. Smith. Today I'll be presenting my Storify, which is a project in which I compare a conflict that is presented in the novel Ceremony by Leslie Marmon Silko and a conflict that is seen in today's present day. The title of my Storify is Ceremony and the Present Discrimination/Stereotypes of Latinos by Donald J. Trump, and it talks about how uh, basically the first conflict that I'll be talking about is the discrimination that is seen in Ceremony, which is the discrimination of Native Americans. They're seen as drunks. They basically blame them for all of the wrong turns and obstacles that the U.S. government has to deal with. And the situation that is currently going on with Donald Trump and Latinos is very similar to this one. And you'll see that by the evidence that I have down below, which is great evidence that supports that helps me prove my point. I decided to put this quote that says, "You don't stumble upon your heritage, it's there just waiting to be explored and shared," by Robbie Robertson, because I feel that it relates a lot to this project and most importantly my topic. I agree with this quote, since I think that your heritage is not something that you should be ashamed of. It's something you should be proud of and embrace it. And I think that Donald Trump is basically doing the opposite. He is making Latinos feel ashamed of being Latinos, and that's completely incorrect. So, a quick background about Donald Trump. He is born in Queens, New York, and is one of the most prominent business executives, author, and most importantly, politician. Today, Trump is seen as the most famous real estate billionaire that has impacted the lives of many in positive and many different negative ways. Today, Donald Trump is well known for numerous reasons, some of them being his hairstyle, the multiple skyscrapers that are under his name, and his amazing success in the business world. Another one of the reasons that he is very well known is because of his discrimination towards Latinos. He calls them, he is very unfiltered when it comes to his speeches, and he bashes them with rude comments and bad names. Here I put my first point of evidence, my first post, which is a YouTube video in which the Commander-in-Chief, Donald J. Trump, which is the President of the United States, talks about how Mexicans are criminals, rapists, and he is blaming all Mexicans for the high crime rate that is taking over the US. In other words, he is bashing Mexicans and Latinos in general because he says that the crime rate that has increased in the United States is due to them. And most Latinos got very mad at this because not all of them are criminals, not all of them are racist, and he doesn't it's unfair and rude that he decides to attack Mexicans for this when a lot of whites, African Americans, are rapists, criminals, not just Mexicans. And he said that he was going to build a wall he doesn't want any illegal immigrants in the country. So, in other words, he will build a wall to avoid these people crossing, and he wants no crime, the crime rate not to keep increasing in the country. And his number one solution to this is getting rid of Mexicans or Latinos. Here is another point of evidence, which is a article from the Tribune News, the Chicago Times, and here you see a picture of Trump with a taco bowl, and he captions it, "I love Latinos." And here, Trump, you can see that he's trying to fix his awful words about Mexicans by posting this picture of him with a taco bowl. This picture was in honor of Cinco de Mayo, which is a Mexican holiday. And this was very controversial to many Latinos because Cinco de Mayo is a Mexican holiday. It's not a Latin holiday. And Latinos were infuriated by the fact that Donald Trump interprets all Latinos as Mexicans. Then here, as you throughout my story file, you'll see that I posted a lot of tweets because I think that Twitter is a great source to post opinions and to get feedback on what you're trying to, like, what you're thinking on. And I think that it gives you also an inside look of what's going in people's heads. A quote from the novel that relates to discrimination is on page 99, and it says, they are afraid, Tayo. They feel something happening around them, and it scares them. Indians or Mexicans or whites. Most people are afraid of change. They think that if their children have the same color of skin, the same color of eyes, that nothing is changing. She laughed. They are fools. They blame us, the ones who look different. The way that we don't have to think, that way we don't have to think about what has happened inside themselves. So, in other words, they're saying that just because their color is different or because they look different, people think that they're a threat or that they are bad people when it's completely not true. So here is a tweet from Donald Trump, and he says Mexico will pay for the wall, which is absolutely insane, because this was posted right after his speech in which he mentions the proposed to build the wall to avoid Mexicans crossing over. I think it's completely ridiculous to say that Mexico will pay for a wall that is completely not in favor of Mexico. And I don't think Mexico will pay for a wall after they've been completely torn down by his harsh words that Donald Trump said by calling them pigs, criminals, rapists, etc. Then I posted this article, which was originally posted on Facebook, but it's posted by BuzzFeed, and here you could see how a Latina expresses her opinion about Trump's win. She's scared of many Latinos. She's scared. You could see that she's scared, and this is because Donald Trump has made Latinos so scared with his terrifying proposals. So here it's an inside look of what Latinos are actually feeling over Trump's win, because they're scared. They think that he's gonna end their culture, or that he's gonna make them leave the country. And I don't think it's fair for our culture, especially Latinos being a huge dominant culture of the United States population. I don't think it's fair that they have to be scared over their president when they should be happy with their president and be proud of who they chose. Next, in this podcast that I put here by SoundCloud, it is by the California Report. You can listen to the different laws that Donald Trump has proposed to avoid illegal immigrants and control Latinos. And as you can see from the posts that I've put above, you could see that this is a huge topic that is going around in the social media. He talks about how there's a dramatic increase of incoming calls to their offices since his election, and they think that they talk about how immigrants are worried and that they're going to like start getting even more and more anxious, because at this point nobody knows what Trump is capable of doing just because of the huge hatred that he has towards Latinos. A quote from the novel that states discrimination is on page 24, and it says, hey, come on, we can get some kind of world record, longest donkey ride ever made for a cold beer, an Indian world record. So in the novel Ceremony, Native Americans were seen as drunks, and they were discriminated for being drunks, and they were stereotyped for being drunks. So in other words, he's like making fun of it, because he's saying that he's gonna make an Indian world record, because Indians are supposedly, like, the whites see Indians as drunks and think that they make terrible decisions due to alcoholism, which is completely not true, because not all Native Americans are alcoholics. And this is another reason of why whites blame Native Americans in the novel for bringing down the country and ruining everything, because they think that they are way too into alcohol and take terrible decisions. On the other hand, here we see Latino Trump supporters. This shows you another perspective of the situation. Regardless of the devastating comments Trump has said about Latinos, there's still some of those who support him. Here you could see two men with a sign that says, I came to the U.S. legally looking for the American dream, not the Mexican nightmare, which is completely ignorant in my opinion, because they not, it doesn't take away the fact that they're still Latinos. And Donald Trump bashing their culture and saying that Latinos are this and that, and they still supporting them, it's completely, I think, ignorant and hypocritical. Here we see a sign that was posted in the streets that says, "You're invited to a Donald Trump piñata breaking, Latino Heritage Month fiesta." And in my opinion, I think this was very interesting. I got this from Flickr, I believe, and I think this was very interesting because it shows how angry Latinos are. They're really upset with Trump, and I don't think it's right that you should be this upset with a president. But he he basically he is the one that made them feel this way about him, because he shows way too much hatred towards them and blames them for things that aren't necessarily true, and they feel attacked. And I think that them breaking up piñata, that is clearly looks like Trump, basically means how they want to tear him down and get rid of him. This was posted again in Flickr. Then I found this article which was posted by Time Magazine. I think that I thought that this was very interesting, since it gives you like an inside look of of a Mexican perspective that's living in the United States of America. Her opinion of Trump isn't the best, and I completely agree with her opinion, because I would think the same thing. Um, she says that, of course, uh, she's upset, but she feels proud to be Mexican in her heritage, because she is not gonna let Trump bring her down because of his negative, stupid comments. And I feel that she's doing the right thing. She's not letting a man make her feel ashamed of her culture or make her feel ashamed of her heritage because of some nonsense stereotype that he has developed and shared with the public. Then lastly, I found this other tweet that was posted by Donald Trump, and this is another source of evidence of him blaming Latinos for the huge crime rate that has increased in the United States. In the tweet, he says, "Look how bad it's getting. How much more crime? How many more shootings will it take for African Americans and Latinos to vote? Trump equals safe." In other words, here you could see how he's not blaming only Latinos for the huge crime rate, but he's also blaming African Americans. So I don't think it's correct. I don't think that Latinos should be attacked this way, and African Americans, of course, for this kind of thing. Not all Latinos are African Americans, and I think that there's another solution to figure things out and communicate things. But I think that he's doing the complete opposite. He's bashing them, filling them with hatred. He's insulting them, and I don't think that's the right thing. So in conclusion, this is my Storify. The discrimination that is seen in ceremony and in today's real world is very similar. They both discriminate a culture, make people feel ashamed of their heritage, and it's not right. The good thing about ceremony is that it makes towards the climax of the book, Dayo just comes to a conclusion that the only way that he can heal his wounds is by going back to his culture and appreciating it, which is Native American, of course. And I think that that's what we should do. By we, I mean Mexicans and Latinos. I think that we should appreciate our heritage and embrace it and share it with the world, and not let Donald Trump bring us down because of some stupid nonsense comment that he makes, insulting us for something that completely makes no sense. And in my opinion, I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right because not all Latinos are criminals. I mean, there's white people that are criminals too. It's not okay to make feel bad. It's not okay to make a large culture feel bad because of their heritage, especially when Latinos are a large culture that makes up the population of the country. So I think that personally, I believe that society has become so harsh to those who are perceived as different or other because of their heritage, and I don't think it's fair at all. So, this is my story file once again. If you want to leave any comments, make sure to do so because I want to hear everybody's feedback and I would really appreciate it. So, that's it. Thank you, everyone.